politics, we often measure leadership through numbers, seats won, schemes launched, growth charts and statistics. But every once in a while, leadership reveals itself in quieter ways, in how a leader listens, what he remembers, who he notices, and how present he chooses to be. Well, in 2025, some of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's most defining moments did not come from podiums or policy announcements. They came from conversations, from shared laughter, from questions asked with genuine curiosity, from moments that felt less like power and more like a connection. Well, as the year draws to a close, we look at the moments that shape PM Modi's bond with India's youth in 2025. Moments that show leadership not as a command but as a companionship. When the Indian women cricket team returned home after the historic World Cup victory in 2025, the country expected a formal reception. What they got was something different. PM Modi just didn't congratulate the champions. He remembered their stories, their injuries, even their favorite food. In one quiet moment, injured batter Pratika Rawal, sitting in a wheelchair, watched as the Prime Minister personally served her food. No cameras demanded it, no speeches followed. It was a small act, but for those in the room, it changed the tone of the evening from ceremony to care. The same instinct was visible when PM Modi met the Indian women's blind cricket team, the T20 World Cup champions. No long addresses, no hierarchy. He walked up to each player and the coach, offering sweets by hand, celebrating not with words but with presence. When team captain Deepika TC stepped forward for a photograph, the Prime Minister casually asked her if she sang. Not because it mattered for protocol, but because it mattered to her.
हमने सुना है आप बहुत अच्छा गाना गाती हो।
गंगाधर शंकर करुणाकरा।
वाह।
In that simple question was a powerful message. You are more than your medal. You are seen. When PM Modi spoke to astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla, the conversation wasn't just about space missions or national achievement. It was also about curiosity. The Prime Minister followed up on a question he had asked earlier, almost like a teacher checking homework. How does the human body relearn to walk after returning from zero gravity? What happens to seeds like moong and methi when they sprout in space? Well, these weren't scripted questions. They reflected a leader interested not just in success, but in the human journey behind it. Science here was not distant or abstract. It was personal and relatable, rooted in everyday Indian curiosity. The same curiosity shaped PM Modi's conversation with global cultural icons like Diljit Dosanjh. They spoke about village roots, about faith and humility, about staying grounded despite global fame, about environmental responsibility and India's civilizational depth. The message was subtle but clear. Global successes means more when it remains anchored in Indian values. Well, in these conversations, science met culture, tradition met ambition, and leadership became a bridge between generations. Few things reveal a leader's true self more than how they interact with children. In 2025, at his official residence during Raksha Bandhan, formality disappeared. School children tied rakhis on PM Modi's wrist. They hugged him, laughed freely, and shared sweets. There were no speeches, no instructions, just the warmth of a festival the way it exists in Indian homes. The same ease was visible during the visit of US Vice President J.D. Vance and his family. High-level diplomacy briefly paused for something simpler. High fives replaced handshakes. Curious questions from children took priority. Peacock feathers turned into playful lessons. Later, VP Vance himself acknowledged that his children shared a rare comfort with just two leaders, President Trump and PM Modi. Not because of power, but because of warmth.
मेरा सपना था आपसे मिलने का।
अच्छा, कब सपना आया? आज में आया था कि पहले आया था?
बहुत पहले था।
Leadership is often loud, but its most powerful moments are silent. In Nawa Raipur at the Sri Satya Sai Sanjeevani Child Heart Hospital, PM Modi stood barefoot among children receiving life-saving care. He listened, he laughed, he spoke gently about courage and fear. When a young girl told him she wanted to become a doctor, he leaned in and asked softly, Promise?
पहले खेलती थी,
हाँ
अभी भी खेलती हो।
हाँ
आगे क्या करना चाहती हो?
डॉक्टर बनने चाहती हूँ।
डॉक्टर बनोगी, पक्का?
हाँ पक्का।
चलिए।
That single word created a bond of trust. Not an order, just advice, just belief. The same empathy shaped Pariksha Pe Charcha in 2025. PM Modi reminded students that marks do not define life, that confidence comes from preparation and calm, not pressure. At the Young India Bharat Dialogue, he chose not to sit on a stage but at the same table as students, listening, exchanging ideas as an equal. And in Bangalore, after inaugurating the Yellow Line Metro, he travelled alongside schoolgirls, sharing time, not distance. These moments showed leadership not as authority but as a presence. What truly connects PM Modi to young Indians is that his answers come from lived experience. In his 2025 podcast with Nikhil Kamath, he spoke openly about growing up in Vadnagar, about being an average student, about leaving home early, facing anxiety, facing criticism. He called his life a university of adversity. His message was simple but powerful. Pressure eases with discipline. Purpose matters more than outcomes, and confidence grows from experience, not comparison. These ideas weren't just spoken, they were lived. In 2025, PM Modi carried India's values to the world through yoga as a global wellness movement and Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam, turning environmental responsibility into a personal act of gratitude. Personal struggle became public purpose, and values traveled as far as ambition. Taken together, these moments tell a larger story. A leadership style that doesn't rely only on command but on connection. A leader who remembers names, notices people, listens first and speaks from experience, whether with children, champions, students, scientists or artists. PM Modi's approach in 2025 shows that trust is built through listening, inspiration flows from shared journeys, and national confidence grows strongest when leadership remains human at heart. Because in the end, the most enduring power of leadership lies in not how high it stands, but in how close it stays. And that is the style of Narendra Modi.
India has arrived on the world stage. Well, nothing new, one would say, but the fact is that over the last couple of years, it has been seen as a country which matters, which has a voice and which is making an impact, but more importantly, a country from which many people can learn from. Well, if you go by the statistics and figures and the studies which have been put out by the world institutions, it itself tells the story. First of all, the World Bank has placed India among the world's most equal societies, and this is according to a Gini index which puts it at 25.5. Now, this ranking has put India ahead of countries like America, China and all the G20 and G7 nations as well, which puts the inequality in our country down. Now, this can be attributed to many factors: targeted welfare delivery, financial inclusion and the direct benefit transfers into the accounts to ensure that the economic growth is actually translated into a broader social equity. The International Labour Organization, for that matter, or the ILO, has also recognized a historic expansion as far as our social protection schemes are concerned. Now, ILO has acknowledged that India's social protection coverage has increased from 19% in 2015 to 64.3%, which is a whopping increase in 2025. Now, this 45% represents one of the largest expansions of the social protection program anywhere in the world. You know, as we know, there are countries like Canada, UK, America, they all have those social protection programs. But the one which has been able to make an impact right to the downest and its lowest social ladder has of course been India. We are ranking second globally and we are extending our coverage to nearly 94 crore Indians. Now, after 18 years, there are more figures which are coming out. After 18 years, the S&P, which is a global rating system, has also upgraded India's rating to BBB. Now, this is nearly after 2 decades that S&P Global has upgraded India's sovereign credit rating to BBB. Now, the agency has cited improved macroeconomic stability, stronger public finance, a structural reform, policy predictability and a policy stability which also comes in from political stability as one of the key factors behind this upgrade. It also reinforces India's growing credibility among the global investors. And therefore, it comes as no surprise that when you see increasing global investment, many of them who are now preferring to open shop in India, like Tesla, like Apple, and we can also see a shift coming in from other countries like China to India as far as these investments go. Now, the International Monetary Fund, that's a very important agency which also acknowledges and recognizes any economic growth across the world. In fact, the biggest contribution of India and something which has been appreciated by many of the so-called advanced economies of the world like Germany, like Japan, is UPI. It's the world's largest real-time payment system. What you think is just a humble app is actually making major strides, not just in India, but also in terms of impressing the world countries. The International Monetary Fund has recognized India's UPI, or the Unified Payments Interface, as the world's largest real-time payment system, which accounts for 49% of all such transactions globally. In fact, the IMF has noted the UPI has become a global benchmark for digital public infrastructure, which combines scale, security, and also interoperability. The IMF chief has also hailed India as a global growth engine.
विश्व की सबसे तेज ग्रो करने वाली मेजर इकोनॉमी है और बहुत जल्द विश्व की तीसरी सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी बनने जा रहा है.
There are more figures which are being given out by international agencies. The QS World Future Skills Index, in fact, ranks, believe it or not, India second as far as the digital skills are concerned. Should be no surprise, considering the fact that a large number of Indians are employed in digitally so-called advanced countries like America, Australia, and UK. Now, we are much ahead of Canada and Germany as far as these figures goes. The ranking is also reflects that sustained investments which are taking place in the skill programs. You know, Skill in India is one of the flagship programs of the Modi government, technology education, and also to make our workforce ready. That internship program, which was begun by the government, was actually a move in that direction to ensure that our youth are ready to work in any sphere, especially AI and all of these important key growing sectors. We can compete now with any of the digital industries, not just in India, but of course the world over. In fact, more and more figures coming in, which goes on to show our firm place as far as the global economy is concerned. In fact, the World Bank has hailed India for lifting over 17.1 crore people from extreme poverty, and this has been done in the last decade. We have now lifted 17.1 crore people, which is what I was talking about, and this has happened in the last 10 years, which is a very quick one in a very short time. Now, according to the World Bank's 2025 Poverty and Equity Report, there are 5 states in our country which has shown this kind of a growth story, like Uttar Pradesh, there's Maharashtra, there's West Bengal, there's Madhya Pradesh, and of course there's Bihar. They account alone for 2/3 of the overall decline as far as extreme poverty is concerned. We've also seen a surge as far as the rural areas are concerned. That is where the extreme poverty has fallen from 18.4% to 2.8% in 2022 to 23. More figures coming up. UN SDG Index has also placed India in the global top 100 for the first time. India has now entered this top 100 of the UN's index report, and this is for the first time. Our ranking is now 99 out of 167. It's a huge one because remember, for years India was considered to be unlabeled as a third world economy or a developing economy. Clearly, we are no longer in that bracket. We have plenty to show to the world, which is why we are having an important place in the world. The improvement has also reflected progress across health, sanitation, clean energy, financial inclusion because of the multiple schemes of the government, women empowerment, digital governance. And in fact, Goldman Sachs has upgraded India's stock market to overweight. This is very important because it also shows that our fundamentals of the economy are strong. We are not having too much of swing, too much of turbulence as far as the stock markets are concerned. All of these are important indexes of economic growth, earnings growth, long-term structural reforms as well. In fact, the upgrade has also signals an increased global investor confidence. We were just speaking about it a short while back. And that's the reason why we are seeing large amount of foreign investments, many of the big MNCs opening shops in India and preferring to make India their destination.
In recognition of their contribution, we have periodically reduced their tax burden. Right after 2014, the nil tax slab was raised to 2.5 lakhs of rupees. which was further raised to 5 lakh rupees in 2019 and to 7 lakh rupees in 2023. This is reflective of our government's trust on the middle class taxpayers. I am now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees.
But if you thought economy was the only reason that why we've got an important place, no, that's not the only reason. On many other spheres as well, culturally, socially, India has put a strong footprint in the world map. Moving on, the World Bank has also credited India with achieving a near universal financial inclusion, and all of this has happened over a decade. So India has now been transformed in its lives, not just of the people here, but we are also setting an example to the world, helping them to learn. World Bank's Global Findex, for example, is 2025. Shares of Indian adults with a bank account has also increased from just 35% in 2011 to 89% in 2024. And I would see this as a monumental increase of over 50%. And this is also because of many of the yojanas or programs of the government, whether it's the Jan Dhan Yojana, which was launched by the Prime Minister in 2014, which ensures an aim is to ensure that every Indian has a formal bank account. That is, all of them are encouraged to open their bank account, a minimum balance, that concept being done away with, a minimum amount put directly into the bank accounts of the people. And this has enabled, as I was just talking about, a zero balance account, DBT, money going directly into accounts of the people. You need to have a bank account for those UPI or your digital payments. And that's the reason why this increase, and almost everyone having a bank account becomes very important. But this also means that now you don't have to be under the clutches of, say, the money lenders who could squeeze you. People have their own bank account, they have control over their finances and also how they want to spend it. So we talked about the economy, we spoke about the culture, let's talk about the politics as well. Political stability apart, Prime Minister Modi is among the world's most popular democratic leader, with India being most satisfied democracy. This is according to a US-based data analytics firm, Morning Consult, which has ranked the Prime Minister as the world's most popular democratic leader with a 75% approval rating. Now, this also shows that there is not just domestic, but there's also world or global confidence in his leadership. You know, wherever he travels, you can see that bonhomie or the camaraderie between the Prime Minister and their personal equations, even with countries who are usually been very reticent as far as reaching out to the world leaders are concerned, whether it's UK, whether it's Russia, whether it's America. You know, we've tried to maintain a balanced act, not getting needlessly involved in the internal matters of other countries, which perhaps has also been one of the main reasons why the Prime Minister is so popular abroad. But more than that, a political stability also ensures that you emerge as a mark, and it becomes a mark of a tough leader. Now, according to a Pew Research Center survey, which has ranked India among the top countries globally in public satisfaction with democratic governance, 74% of Indians have expressed satisfaction, and that's the reason why he keeps on winning elections. India has come to a 38th position from 81st, which was in 2015, in the Global Innovative Index. So this has been a huge jump that we have seen. There has been, just to wrap up, a lot of improvements as far as the research output is concerned, as far as our technology is concerned, culturally speaking, politically speaking. India has contributed extensively as far as the world matter is concerned. Now, just quickly, Asia Power Index has also classified India as a major power center. We have reached this major power status on the Asia Power Index of 2025 on the back of the economic growth, our military capability, especially post Operation Sindoor. And it also goes on to show that India has emerged as self-reliant, Atmanirbhar. These are very important factors. We are much ahead of countries like Japan, Russia, Australia and others, where we've jumped to a third place in the global AI competitiveness as well. That is also a very important factor given the reality of artificial intelligence. According to a Stanford University's Global AI Vibrancy tool, our rankings have increased. We are fast growing, and the Prime Minister has placed a very important role on it. There was a time when India was being looked upon as, you know, just another economy or a country which was riding on camels and elephants and carpets. Nothing of that sort. We have clearly set the stage. In fact, we've created a niche for ourselves as far as the global stage is concerned.
The last week of December has brought more bad news for outlawed group CPI Maoist. Ganesh Uike, the head of the CPI Maoist Odisha wing, has been brought to justice by security forces on 25th of December. Uike's killing is not just a setback for Odisha unit of the outlawed party, but also a body blow to the collapsing CPI Maoist leadership. Central committee of the party now has only two other members left, Sangram and Ramdher. Dandakaran Zonal Committee, this is the nerve center of CPI Maoist and its organizational structure in Bastar, that has only Papa Rao and Barse Deva left. So together, if you see General Secretary Devuji, alias Tirupati, and these four are the only surviving members of the top leadership of CPI Maoist. Devuji, alias Tirupati, believed to be the General Secretary or the leader of the party at the moment, has been on the run ever since Hidma was gunned down by police forces in Andhra Pradesh. But time is running out. The March 2026 deadline set by Union Home Minister Amit Shah is almost a reality on ground, even when we still have about 3 months to go before that deadline ends. Jharkhand, Bihar, Odisha, Andhra and even Maharashtra have on the face of it taken the upper hand as far as the fight against Naxal violence is concerned. Sukhma and Bijapur in Chhattisgarh are the only remaining areas in Bastar where some cadre strength of CPI Maoist remains, but the figures paint an ominous picture for the tottering Maoist leadership. What do the figures really tell us? Now, in 2023, we are now looking at 2025. So between December 2023 and December 2025 alone, the spine of CPI Maoist has been shattered, with more than 500 leaders, mid-level leaders and cadres losing their life. Now let's talk about this year itself. In 2025 alone, more than 315 Naxals have been neutralized, including top leadership like Hidma. Hidma was considered the man, the brain behind all the violence in Bastar. Uike, we just told you, the man who was leading the Odisha unit of CPI Maoist, he had stepped in after one more Central Committee member, Modern Balakrishna, was killed in an encounter with forces in October. After that, Ganesh Uike took over and now he has also been killed in an encounter. Former General Secretary of the party, Basavanna Raju, earlier in 2025, Basavanna Raju was gunned down in an encounter in the Narayanpur area. This is Abuj Mar that we are talking about. Abuj Mar, the name itself, Abuj as in unknown, Mar as in the forest area. So for the security forces, for the government machinery, Abuj Mar was the land of the unknown. They had no idea what was going on inside Abuj Mar. It was here that Basavanna Raju was gunned down in 2025, and Abuj Mar in a way has been declared Naxal violence free. So that itself was watershed as far as security forces, be it the central paramilitary forces or the state police. For them, it was a watershed moment to declare, Abuj Mar as an area where government machinery was now reaching, and Basavanna Raju's elimination, the former General Secretary of the party, played a huge role in giving a moral boost to the security forces. So it's not just killing, however, there's also surrender that is happening, showing how the attrition rate in the CPI Maoist is at an all-time high. More than 2,000 Naxal cadres have surrendered, and this is not just the lower level cadre that we are talking about. There are big ticket names as well, like Venugopal Rao, alias Abhay, alias Sonu. He was once the spokesperson of CPI Maoist. He surrendered in October 2025. 258 Naxals associated with Abhay also surrendered in Maharashtra and Chhattisgarh, depleting not just human resources of Maoists, but also their arms and ammunition. With each of these surrenders, the cadre that came in, the middle level leadership that came in, also brought in their arms and their ammunition. So the arms ammunition store, the depot of the CPI Maoists was also depleting, and there's no fresh addition. So how will they continue to fight this fight? And Abhay, like I said, is a key person in the CPI Maoist leadership. He first offered to speak to Government of India, talking about a ceasefire, requesting his comrades to lay down arms. That did not happen. So in Maharashtra, Abhay joined the mainstream, and Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, also said that this is a message for all others to join the mainstream, give up their arms. His own right-hand man in Chhattisgarh, Rupesh, he was an IED maker in that state. He also subsequently laid down arms. So you see how surrender is also happening. A total of 30 top Naxal leaders have been neutralized. This is the comparative figure that we are giving to you from 2024 and 2025 to show how 2025 is watershed. So 30 top Naxal leaders have been neutralized. This included one Central Committee member in 2024 and half a dozen have been killed in 2025 alone. Naxal affected districts have been slashed from 126. This is in 2014 when the Narendra Modi government took over. At that point, there were 126 Naxal affected districts. Now in 2025, we are looking at only 11. As far as the most affected districts are concerned, they were at 36 in 2014. They're now down to just 3. And that marks the near collapse of the Red Corridor from Pashupatinath to Tirupatinath, from Nepal all the way to Andhra Pradesh is what CPI Maoists dreamt of, a free corridor. But that dream now lies in tatters. The figures as far as Naxal violence also shows that Home Minister Amit Shah's deadline is on track. There's a 53% decline that has been noted as far as Naxal violence is concerned. Incidents of Naxal violence have gone down by more than 53%. Civilian deaths have gone down by 70%, while security forces too have seen decline of 75% as far as Naxal violence related deaths are concerned. Now contrast this to a time when CRPF lost 76 men just sitting, taking their lunch under a tree. That happened in Chintalnar. So from then to now, we're seeing a more than 75% decline in these incidents. Security forces, through decisive operations such as Operation Octopus, Double Bull and Chakarbanda, have liberated long-held Naxal bastions including Budha Pahar. This is in Jharkhand's Latehar area that we are talking about. Parasnath, Barmasia, Chakarbanda, all of this in Bihar. After 3 decades of Maoist control, government has now established permanent camps deep inside remote jungles and reached the hitherto impenetrable Abujmar in Chhattisgarh, which I just explained to you. These sustained offensive forced the PLGA battalion. PLGA is the People's Liberation Guerrilla Army. It is the main fighting wing of CPI Maoists. Their PLGA battalion has been forced to abandon its core areas in Bijapur, Sukma, and caused the complete failures of TCOC. The Tactical Counter-Offensive Campaign is what the CPI Maoists specialized in. This TCOC was a time when they killed maximum people, carried out the maximum operations. But since 2024, they have been completely defanged, and this marks the collapse of their strategic stronghold and operational dominance. But it's not just anti-Naxal operations by security forces. Government is also moving in to choke finances of the Naxals and also win over the locals with development plans. This is important to deny the human resources base to CPI Maoists. Over 12,000 kilometers of roads, 586 fortified police stations and 361 new camps have come up. 8,500 plus mobile towers have been made operational. 92 crore rupees assets have seized, and that has ended the geographical and financial dominance of Maoists in core areas. A proper surrender policy has also been worked out to rehabilitate the Naxals who are wanting to join the mainstream. But that's the next big challenge. 2026 first quarter, once Government of India, Home Ministry, perhaps before March itself, you would see the deadline. There is a possibility that the deadline, could be forwarded. Government could declare India Naxal Mukt, Bharat Naxal Mukt, much before the March 2026 deadline. But the challenge is to ensure that once Naxalism has been defeated, Naxal violence is defeated, there is no plank for them on ground to make a comeback. They are denied the ideological base, they are denied the human resource base, and development becomes Indian government's way to win over the tribals.